Okay, hi everyone, this is Greg, this is not John like the previous video. I hope you enjoyed it, and again thanks for everyone who left a like or a kind comment. I hope this will work. It's a second take while my connection is still not mended, and I'm sorry about that, guys. This is not my fault. This is coming from a cable issue which is out of my flat, which is on the common parts of the building, and the owner has to talk with the company, etc. So it's taking too much time. I hope this one will be I did a almost 40 minutes video which the sound was completely shut, so I had to restart this all over again. I'm gonna make it quicker because I'm not even sure this one will work. First introduction before I get into the topic, which is why there is no best whiskey in the world. So a kind of contradiction to the previous one, but it's obvious, and it's not a marketing point of view here. It's the consumer and whiskey writer and reviewer point of view. I'm gonna try to demonstrate, it's of course only my opinion, that these questions about best whiskey evaluation, etc., are related to personal point of view, to time questions or issues, and to where you're speaking from to judge the whiskey. So 3 points that I think are interesting, and also I will use as examples to explain my point 3 whiskies that you can find in the market currently, and again, apologies for those technical issues, because this doesn't allow me to go live, and I have lots of guests and things planned, so again, apologies to you guys. Also a lot of rundowns, and where I have to show bottles from close and the focus doesn't get as I want it, so I prefer, and also I cannot take all the time I want. Okay, stop. In the first take I talked about something very personal. I'm gonna start next week. I'm gonna be very short about it also because I'm a bit superstitious, but I will start something for real, let's say, that has been planned more than 1 year ago. I will start blending with a true distillery and doing a true whiskey, and I will not just sell a cask, I will do the mixing, and I also worked on how this has to be made and which grain to produce, etc., because it will be a blended whiskey in theory. If we don't succeed, it will become a blended malt or something maybe even more special. And I'm trying to do something that will a bit stand out. Also, it will be my first public, not creation, but my first public creation with directly a distillery. More about it in time. I'll keep you posted. To go back to the topic, and yeah, it's exciting. When I started around 1998, I mean, not only mixing things in parties, etc., and I hated, honestly, Ballantine with Coke, stuff like that. I didn't like it. For me, whiskey was metallic, not Metallica, but metallic tasting, and this of course was reinforced by the fact that the Coke played a bad role, a negative role in that, which is not always the case with whiskey, but it will be another topic related. Okay, Greg, you're losing your your direction. Yeah, so when I started, I didn't have a lot of experience. I did have previous experience of other spirits, not in depth, and I also my background, personal and family background, different origins. All this plays is to be taken into account when you're a reviewer, and the wider your experience is traveling, tasting things all over the world, the better it is to comprehend whiskey, in my opinion. So to put a long story short, at that time I only had 2 or 3 whiskies in my cabinet. It was not until 2002 that I traveled to Scotland first time to visit Glenmorangie, have a proper masterclass, etc. I started to take notes around 2004, if I'm not mistaken, first Whisky Life Paris, to remember things. I tried, basically. First time I had hundreds of thousands even of whiskies before me and couldn't even know which one to try, responsibly always, so you cannot try everything that's here. You got to be prepared for a show. And then around 2005 I met some people, and I started to communicate in blogs, in forums, and write also in them in French. And I met a few people, whiskey connoisseurs, collectors, etc. Why I'm saying this, it's because I was invited to a friend in his house, and for a special tasting. And among the whiskies there, I liked some, I had difficulties with others, but I had a question, and this guy has several hundred whiskies at that time, and I asked him, which is your first, your favorite one of all your collection? I want to try it. And I was wrong. It was not the proper time. That's why I speak about time to try it, because guess what, I didn't like it, and it's a lesson learned. I was too much in a hurry to try high-end stuff that I couldn't in my mind understand. What was it? It was not this, but it was a Bourbon 30 years old. And I was not prepared for that. It was too briny, too much of seaweed, too much maritime. The style has changed since. It's very few often like that. Only in some indie bottlers you can have so much maritime influence in the core range, and even limited edition you have in almost never this. The style also has changed. It was an 80, I think 1980 distillate, or 70. Let me think. Yeah, probably 70 to 80. So nothing to do with the 90s or 2000 era whiskies they do now. Doesn't mean they're bad. I'm not a Bourbon disliker usually, if I may say, and I'm gonna do a rundown when everything will be fixed. Lots of rundown to do, you know that. So my point is, it was too soon, and 10 years after that I retried it, same place, same whiskey, with good preservation condition, not opened often, etc. Sorry, and this time I loved it. Why? Because there has been probably, I don't know, 1,000 or 500 whiskies in between tasted. So my experience was wider, and also I had other maritime profile whiskies before, so I could put that into context and also understand how an old whiskey can be as interesting with such notes. And it was not the only one I picked, because the first time the most maritimes note were hiding the others for me, because I didn't have any experience to properly understand it. I'm sorry. Okay, so that was the point about time, but also where I will go on now to where do you speak from, which is not so far from what I said, but it's more about contests, awards, and competitions, official competitions that are now yearly. And without mentioning really too much, because I don't want to... it's a complicated question. There's some competitions I simply, when they give you the best whiskies of the year, I really don't trust them, or I don't care. Why? Because basically the professional are involved, from the distilleries are involved in these ones. Basically they, even if it's blind, they know what's on the categories, because it's a lot of categories. Blend, blended malt, single malt, etc. Under this age, that age, over that age, etc. And by the time they have it on the glass and they know it's Scotch, I'm sorry, at some point, experience reviewers, they will know what they have in the glass, more or less. And if they're working for companies, they will tend to vote for them. This is what I think. I might be wrong. That's why when you see the results every year, especially one with 4 letters, come on, it's too predictable. So it doesn't mean any sense for me. I tend to prefer to rely on some whiskey writers, and again, even if this category, and I'm going to demonstrate it now, we're all different. Nobody is right, nobody is wrong, nobody knows the best whiskey in the world, because it's the best whiskey in the world for them, and not necessarily for me or for you. How do I know that? Because when you see the critics of some I follow, for instance, whether it's Serge or Ruben or anyone, and I have a huge respect, Dave, for all of them, I know that their taste, their personal taste, is leading them to prefer this kind of profile than this one. Then again, they can put things into perspective enough, because they're honest, to say, okay, this is not my thing, but this one will please to this kind of profile lovers, whiskey lovers, right? Another thing, I have here an old issue, and when I say old, I had even older in the first take, and I said, okay, let's take only one example. This one is from 2005, issue 138. Whiskey Magazine, the original one, which is the UK edition. There's a French edition which is slightly different, even if I take a lot from the English one as a base. Wow, this is beautiful. It's been a long time I haven't watched it, honestly. And yeah, here it is. 2 examples to to state my case, if I may say, of how and they taste all blind, these all blind, how the reviewers can disagree about a whiskey. Sometimes they agree, we can see it there as well. Sometimes they strongly disagree. Doesn't mean one or the other is wrong. It's their personal taste. So that's why they cannot be a best whiskey in the world, except if all those guys say this one. You see what I mean? And for this number, this is Chris Goodrum, which has also a recommended for me whiskey channels called The Goodrum Show, and Joel Harrison. Both are whisking at that time working for Whiskey Magazine. Chris is working for the World Whiskey Awards, which is, I think, quite a reliable one. And Joel, who's an award-winning whiskey writer, also works in Whiskey Magazine. For instance, they reviewed Box Single Malt Whiskey Archipelago. Box is a distillery in Sweden that has been rebranded as High Coast. a few years ago in order not to be confused with the Compass Box. Chris and Joel are not going to explain all, it's too long, but they're reviewing this whiskey and see how, I'm sorry about the camera, 7.9 out of 10 and 9 out of 10. So Chris gives a 7.9. He says this whiskey seems too young, very young, sorry. Low, intense, intrusive alcohol, etc. While Joel thinks, okay, it's a massive hit of oak, but it's big and bold, it's strong and drinkable at full strength, which doesn't seem to be the case for Chris. And then it's long and lingering, while Chris says raw and intense. Packed full of flavor, this is a Viking assault on your senses in a good way, while Chris says it seems very young. So you see, it's not this is just showing we can have a different and now again about another Swedish whiskey from Smogen, this time a single cask, and this is reverse, this one. So Chris is giving a 9 and Joel a 7.8, and again two different conclusions. For Chris, this one is a touch of genius or madness, and possibly both, while Joel says an odd youthful mix which needs a lot more time to settle down and refine. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it's not ready, it's not at its max. So you see what I mean there? It's that in fact you can use this as a kind of in boussole in French, I don't remember the English name, sorry. You know, the thing, a compass, something you have when you lost your direction and you're watching where's the north. You can use this as that if your tastes are close to the reviewer, or whoever it is, and you know that most of the time you agree with him. So this is the way you can, if it says this is the best whiskey I ever had or in the world, you can trust him for that. Now my last point is about picking 3 whiskies under 70 euros, let's say 60 pounds, something like that. So I could have picked Port Ellen, Yoichi, Lagavulin, high-end stuff, Karizawa, Brora, etc., even if I don't have a Brora. And I don't have, unfortunately, Lagavulin 25 as well. Those you can see in my 15 exceptional whiskies to try before you die, by the way. So I didn't want to take these examples to explain my point here, but use things you can be related to. It means Cardhu Gold Reserve, NAS whiskey. I have for 28 euros in a few years ago. 45 euros, a bit more expensive, Eagle Rare straight bourbon from Kentucky, from Buffalo Trace Distillery, 10 years old, even if it's not written on the front label. I suspect this will disappear at some point. And of course Springbank 10. Those 3 are to demonstrate something different. And I have already drunk a bit of those. But never mind. Why I picked Gold Reserve? It's some gonna say, "Oh, come on, Greg, you used to high-end stuff, and you tasting that crap for us, blah blah blah." No, it's just that I think it's a good whiskey. Yeah, color added, chill filtered, 40%. No age statement. Yeah, but what if it's good? In my opinion, mind you. Because it does the job as an everyday sipper, if I may say. If I don't drink every day, but easygoing, very well balanced. There's a nice creaminess, nice herbal but light feeling. Some natural caramel, some not. But it's a nice sipper. It's a very beautiful whiskey for a beginner, for instance. So that's why I picked this one. Somebody asked me someday, which is your favorite whiskey, and what's your favorite whiskey? I'm often asked this question. Honestly, I might do a video only about this question, but basically I'm covering by giving some answers today this topic in advance. And they say, could you, if you have to pick one whiskey only, which one will it be, and you will have for the rest of your life? I said, oh no way. I experienced that 1 week. I won't give the context, it's too long. And it ended up, I hated the whiskey, because it's the only thing I could have for a week. And it was not the best one. So I like to have choice. Second example, and I hope the sound issues, this one won't me erase the video again. This is an example, Eagle Rare again. I struggled with, on the paper I loved it, on a show I loved it. I know it's Buffalo Trace, usually I love what they do, but this one I just, even after neck pour, I just cannot enjoy it. It's too tannic, it's too oaky, too spicy. It starts to open up with some nicer notes, but it's because I put some water in between the two videos. I mean, at the end of the first video. But it's still something I struggle with, while some other reviewers, maybe it's a batch variation, probably, I think. This one is from 2019, but... So you see, I can be very critical with this reference. Even in a show, I loved this, Four Roses, small batch. But I struggle with this one the same way. I don't understand. I just don't get it. Why? And it's so almost at the middle. I starting to kind of appreciate, enjoy. So you see, it's very personal, and batch variation plus personal taste makes it more difficult. Sorry. And when I have those killer coins from a New Drum Drinker there, beautiful stuff. And why do I talk often about them? Because I think it's a great channel, and a great, not only beginner's channel, but I like what they do, and a friendly approach. Last example, I could have picked something that divides opinions and tastes. Some people love peat, others hate it. I could have picked yes, Octomore, but I won't, because it's too expensive. I could have picked Ardbeg 10, but I don't have it. I'm not sure I have it again. Personal bad experience as well. This, if I show you this, you won't find it unless in auction. So, and it's beautiful. So instead of doing this, I complicated the thing with peat plus Campbelltown Funk. There. What is Campbelltown Funk? Good question. It's hard to define. It's very subjective. I don't even know who started to use the word, honestly. For me, it's something like mixing what you have in the garage with all, used tires and the diesel, the oils for the engine. They're mending things, so some oils start to mix together with combining some hot things that has been heated, like burnt tires, stuff like that. But it's not about the rubber. It's a bit of this, but it's more about something diesel, something gas oil, and it's off-putting for many, even for me at the beginning. but it is magnificent in Springbank and sometimes in Glen Scotia and Kilkerran and Gyle as well. And bear in mind, and I said it in the first take, and I won't be long, earlier when I started my whiskey journey, those under the cream label were unpeated or almost, and they didn't have any funk, so it was pure ex-bourbon, and later on ex-bourbon, ex-sherry casks, and also in the beginning they have some mix of bourbon and rum casks, so it was a completely different profile, or let's say 50%, 60% different profile. This one has the funk, has the peat, very balanced, but still off-putting for beginners. That for me it's a wonderful whiskey. Slangeva, I had it on the nose already. Lots of different things. It's something that won't please to anyone. So you have to have experience to enjoy this. It's a kind of weird thing. You still have some unpeated elements. This vanilla, ex-bourbon, kind of coconutty sweetness. The barley speaks a lot in Springbank. The malted barley, which is sometimes local, sometimes only Scottish, and partly malted on site, it's a craft thing. And what I like also in that, and it was something was evoked in a recent VPUB, Aquavite, is the fact they in fact assume there are a lot of batch variations from even in the core range, and I think it's great when you have a craft distillery. When it's an industrial one, it's another question. But okay, basically I have to stop there. You have the thing, there is no best whiskey in the world for everyone the same. There is your best whiskey in the world, there is mine. Sometimes we can agree, sometimes we'll disagree, but it's life. Basically you have it, that there's several things that have to be taken into account before you say this is the best whiskey in the world. And again, this is the best whiskey in the world for you maybe now, but maybe 5 years ago, and 5 years of time from now you will find something more interesting. So everything is relative. Okay, I hope it was interesting. Thanks for watching, and hope to be back soon with a better quality, because it's really miss the live shows. Okay, see you soon.